Today, I think we'll have a masterclass on food.
On
You
food.
know?
I would
Okay.
love that.
As I was telling you, I'm not qualified for this conversation because food is something which is the last thing on my life menu. What was the first sort of internship, and how was that experience like? Because that was quite a new thing for you, Nay.
In an internship, it's quite boring because they'll just give you small things to do, like you'll just be chopping onions all day. And I had someone in my family, what are you doing? You're just chopping onions all day. Do you really want to do this and continue doing that? Obviously that hurt, but it's rewarding at the end of the day when you get that skill so perfect.
How do you develop your own techniques? Like, one is obviously in the kitchen,
Yeah.
but like if there is a new person who want to go into this whole industry.
In London, it's very focused on teaching in a professional kitchen. You know, I worked for Gordon Ramsay and we had so many people, they would just give anyone that little job, but at that same time you teach them as well. In Pakistan, you mainly have a bunch of cooks who are just there to get that monthly income. It's not passion driven. What I have seen, there are very few places that have those passion driven cooks.
And how do you differentiate the Pakistani restaurants and the Indian restaurants here?
It is very similar, however, they perhaps have their spices on a higher level than ours. They use mace, methi, curry leaves, anything they cook. Even like working with one chef, he was even using that in his omelets. And I was like, okay, not for me.
What is the one thing, if you want to change about Pakistani food, what would that be?
I think our food is...
Today, I think we'll have a masterclass on food.
On food.
You know?
I would love that.
So where should we start? I think as I was telling you, I'm not qualified for this conversation because food is something which is the last thing on my
That's fine.
life menu. But maybe we'll start with a bit of your introduction. Where are you from? और लंदन में आप कैसे पहुंची?
London में कैसे पहुंची? Well, I'm originally from Lahore, Pakistan. I was born there. I was raised there. And then I was 15 when my mother decided to move the family here. So it's me, my sister, my brother, and her. And culinary was never a part of the plan. I initially was studying theatre and screen, and usi flow ke andar, you have a project, then you have your next that you're looking for, or you're studying, then you have a break. So I was sort of on a break when my mother knew this chef and they were working together, and he was just like, you're not doing anything right now, why don't you just come in and just, I'll give you a little cash on hand because you're not working, like do something. So I was like, sure. I loved cooking. I've always loved cooking as far as I can remember, but it was never a part of the plan. And then I think it just sort of grew from there. And this was at Chor Bazaar, which is a branch from Indian Accent.
Okay.
It's a fine dining Indian restaurant from India. And then my mother basically knew the owner as well. So I didn't really take it seriously at that time. It was just, I'll do it, get a little cash, and just sort of went from there. And then Harrods happened. Chuck's Italian, which is another fine dining Italian restaurant in Harrods. So that interest sort of just grew, I guess, slowly and steady. And then theatre started taking a back seat as that interest in culinary sort of grew. There's no education in culinary. Like, I didn't go to any school, and I think when it comes to being in a creative field, especially cooking, the best place to learn is at the job, because they'll teach you a million different techniques in a school, but how do you imply that with the pressure is very different in that workspace. Because
sorry, थोड़ा सा हम अगर पीछे जाएं
yeah.
Lahore. ठीक है. How was Lahore? Because you spent your sort of teen ages there. Yeah. How was Lahore back then? And how was it like growing up?
I loved Lahore. But I think I sort of, as a child, took it for granted just because it's home.
Mm.
And you don't appreciate culture. You don't appreciate the food. You don't appreciate a lot of what home gives you as a child, especially. And I went to an American school as well. So that also was, I was very influenced by the American TV shows,
Yeah.
be it food, you want to just go out and eat burgers and fries, right? And unfortunately, it took me to leave Pakistan to appreciate Pakistan for what it is, for the culture, the rich, and everything that it sort of offers has so much richness in it, including our food. So
Yeah.
um, Pakistan was wonderful.
And when you were growing up, like, what was the plan? एक होता है ना बचपन से I want to do
I
this, I
wanted to
want to do
become
that.
an actress.
Okay.
That was a plan from day one. I was so inspired by just growing up watching Hollywood movies and then singing as well. That is something that I did. Pakistan as well. I did have a few. I did train there as well in classical music for a while. And then I do play guitar as well. So I went to the guitar school in Lahore where as even now when I go back, it's the same people. So I just go in and just have a few sessions sometimes, just to touch base. But music also always played a very, very big part in my life growing up. But yeah, I think I was always interested in the creative side. In school, etc. I was never good in studies. Always just wanted to run about, wanted to play football. I was a tomboy, like Spider-Man clothes and just jumping here and there. So I was a very naughty child.
And how was it like when you guys moved here? Because that was also quite a
Yeah,
big
culture
change,
shock.
Yeah. And you moved here which year?
2011,
Okay.
2012.
And that was the first time you were coming to London? या उससे पहले भी?
Yeah, that was the first time of me leaving the country.
Okay.
No, sorry, no. I had visited Thailand, so it was the second time, but it was definitely difficult, especially me being an introvert. I think my sister adjusted better than I did with the school situation. Also, I wasn't comfortable for at least a year of moving here. So it definitely took me some time to adjust. But yeah, it was, the decision was my mother's to make for the future of her children, and we didn't really have a say in it at that time. And going back as well, it was, I didn't really have any plans as such at that age, though I should have, but I was a very, rebellious child. I didn't.
But then, like, when you moved here, तो उस time क्या plan था? Because acting तो था, but like, would you also like sort of was कि ठीक है यहाँ भी I can explore?
I mean, so at that time I was still in school, so I didn't really have any plan at the age of like 15, unfortunately. A lot of people do, but for me it was just I want to do theatre. So that was the plan. I wanted to do theatre and then I wanted to carry that forward, and then theatre, singing, sort of both of them together. So that was that growing up. I did try to carry that here as well till the age of, I think, 18, 19. And just, like small roles here and there with Warner Brothers and theatre, small things in West End, nothing major as such. So I think it's also giving so many auditions and knowing there's so much competition sort of throws you off when you also want to make a living. And you sort of reach that age where you're in a big city, you have to help your mother out who's a single parent, then that is also an element you have to look at.
और वो क्या कर रही थी यहाँ? Like she was also working?
So she was working here, yeah, but
in which industry?
She's yoga training.
Okay.
So as a yoga teacher, then also into what do you call it? Alternative like Ayurveda.
Okay.
So that as well, but mainly yoga and health and fitness. So she's always been into that. And then Hair as well. She was doing that. So
And then so वहाँ से uni में you did your film and television, or was it like
no, I didn't. So I didn't go to university. I just did my theater till school and my A levels,
Okay.
and then I just didn't really want to study
Okay.
after that. I just figured while I was doing that, I went into culinary quite early on, and then I've been working since I was 18. So it's been a decade now.
And what was the first like sort of internship you said?
Yeah. So I started with an internship. And
how was that experience like? Because that was quite a new thing for you, eh?
it was interesting because in an internship it's quite boring because they'll just give you small things to do, like you'll just be chopping onions all day. And I had someone in my family tell me, like, what are you doing? You're just chopping onions all day. Do you really want to do this and continue doing that? And obviously that hurts, right? But it's rewarding at the end of the day when you get that skill so perfect that 10 years later you can you've developed to a degree where it's not just chopping onions. You're doing so much with that little skill that you maybe built 10 years ago. As an internship, though, it was a learning experience for sure. It really taught me discipline, first of all, just showing up every single day, despite the fact that I didn't really like what I was doing. But it was still inspiring seeing other people work, the senior chefs work, and how they sort of ran the kitchen. And I loved the food, so that was also another aspect of me showing up every day. Like, I want to learn how you do that. I don't like what I'm doing right now, but I want to learn how to do that.
And what was your inspiration in the food world? Like, ek hota na, jaise shuru mein there is like some sort of like, I don't know, like a grandmother's something or whatever. But like, was this something?
It was definitely, I think as a child, it was just being home and just my grandmother cooking. Her pulao was sort of famous in the entire family. And till today, whenever she's cooking, I just stand. I am her sous chef when she stands.
Okay.
So obviously there was that initial stage of being inspired. But then I think where my journey really began as a chef, not just a cook, was at Annabelle's, where I was in the Mexican kitchens. We had different cuisines in the entire club. Annabelle is a private members club in Mayfair. I don't know if you know about it, but I was based in their Mexican kitchen where we had Chef Pujol, who worked at Chef Coco, who worked at Pujol, which was a Michelin star, the only Michelin star restaurant in Mexico and from Mexico. Okay. So just the opportunity of working with him, I grabbed it. And that was sort of my first real job as in the culinary industry.
And how did you start learning about like different dishes? Because if you haven't done the formal sort of training, so when you were doing the internship, like that's how.
That's something. If you stay consistent in an environment where you have so many different techniques going around in one space, and you show up every day and you're in that environment for 10, 12, 16 hours. Some days I'm working 16 hours. It's
you're in the kitchen for 16 hours.
Like tomorrow I'll be working from 10 a.m. to midnight. So there are a lot of days are very long. So in a space as such where you have to be obsessed with food, the craft, you pick up on techniques. People will teach you. People that do have training will teach the juniors. That's my role today. Despite the fact that I don't have that formal training, but the fact that I've got so many years on my hand and I have learned those same techniques in actually many different ways than you would actually learn in a culinary school. They'll maybe teach you how to do Dover Sol Meunier in one way, and you sort of just give that exam, you write that one thing. But in a proper you have different experiences in a kitchen. Otherwise, you have so many different chefs from different backgrounds, countries, and they will have that same Dover Sol Meunier that you will be able to learn in so many different ways. So actually, that's why I was saying that it works much better if you learn at the job. Sure, if you want to do a fast track, do a 1 year course at La Roche or something and go open a small bakery, sure. But if you're really passionate, then I think you have to. You, for me, it's worked better that I've taken the longer route and I have trained in so many different places with so many chefs that hold that Michelin star. And how do you sort of get there? How do you achieve that? How do you sort of put yourself on that path for that? And a lot of chefs don't have those trainings at hand. It's just work.
Or like when you're in the kitchen, like for let's say 15 ghante or like from 12 to 16 hours, and when you come home, like are you still passionate about food? Or you're like, "Achha, matlab, it's just like I've
No,
yeah."
I'm not. When
You're
I
not
am
foodie,
home,
khud
no,
se?
I love food. I think that's what keeps me in the field that I am. But when I am finished with when I'm home after a long day at work, I have switched off that chef mode. At home, I'll probably just make myself a scrambled egg and go to sleep. And that is as every chef sort of lives, unfortunately. We're catering for everybody else apart from ourselves. And that's also why chefs are some of the most unhealthy people today, which scares me and which sort of drives me to stay on that path of
And why
fitness.
do you say that? Like the chefs are the most unhealthy
Because
people?
we are always eating, but we're always tasting. Because we're cooking and we're always tasting. We don't actually have 3-4 meals in a day. If we start work early in the morning, we start
So you don't get
working
a
and then
proper break to have a lunch or a dinner.
no. A lot of
Okay.
us, especially, I mean, yes, you do get a break if you're on a very long shift, but a lot of chefs don't take that break just because there's so much work, there's so much pressure, there's so much that needs to be done that most of us are just in the kitchen and we'll just quickly wrap something up for us and have that. And while we're cooking as well or plating, there's so much tasting happening that if you keep eating a little every single every 15 minutes, your body will not feel hunger. So you won't really feel how hungry you are till you are home. And that is what happens to me at midnight. I'll be like, I'm really hungry actually, despite the fact that I've been putting small little nibbles in my mouth all day. And that's the hour you probably eat something really unhealthy. And
So I want to move a little bit towards the when you moved here,
yeah,
like the whole identity crisis thingy, which we hear a lot. When I was studying in my uni, obviously I met a lot of British Pakistanis, like who were born here,
yeah.
not like people who moved here. Obviously, there were like few there as well. But how was it for you? Because then you start like working in a very different environment. It was not like a typical 9 to 5 job, like
Yeah.
a traditional sort of, so how did you sort of cope up? And were you also like feel like there is a problem with the identity, or like were you clear? Like how was it?
I think as me becoming a chef in the first early days.
Like generally, like as a young person, as a young Pakistani.
I mean, of course, difficult, especially not just being a Pakistani, but also a female chef, because it's a very male-oriented field. It's very rare that you'll get a female in a kitchen, that too on a hot pass. Usually, it's the women that are on pastry section. Despite the fact that pastry is extremely difficult, but women are usually in that section. So it's more. I think the struggle was being a woman in a hot kitchen, a small woman in a hot kitchen as well, because most chefs are really big, they're like really know how to take space up and just like trying to navigate through a kitchen. But it's hard, but I think once you have your work and it sort of allows to speak for you, that is when people start to take you a little more seriously. Um, Especially in the earlier days, I was really just learning. I think I spent the first few years just sort of learning, and you grow, your positions grow in a kitchen. You start as a commis chef, then there's a demi chef, so you go through all your line chefs positions, then you eventually become a senior chef who is able to train the younger lot. And we train the younger lot the same way you would train someone who's out of university or has no experience whatsoever. So you go through that exact process no matter if you have the education on you or you do not. Um, so yeah, I think it took me like at least 5 years to sort of push through. It was not easy. I would come home and be dipping my feet in salt water at midnight, past midnight, and just be on it again the next day. And I think what's drove me to go in every day was the sort of food that we were working on, my inspiration to learn how to do that myself as well, just watching other people work. But at Annabelle's, I think, is where it sort of began for me. It was a Mexican kitchen where, I just entered and I just knew this is a circus that I want to be in. So it takes a lot of discipline, and I think consistency as well. And if you don't have those two things, you can't work in the culinary industry at all.
And if you take the chef hat out, just as a Rameen, how is it live for you in London? And especially like at the early time when you moved here.
Yeah.
So again, the identity crisis at that time as well.
Okay.
Because you didn't have a family or like extended family here, right?
No, we moved as a family, so my mom and us. But I mean, we have like relatives.
Okay.
No immediate family, no.
But was it difficult like the first few years?
Yeah,
or
absolutely, it's very difficult.
like in what way?
In what way? My brother was firstly born here, so we moved here at the same time when he was born here. So it was also suddenly having another brother in the family, and I think it was just being a creative child who was very passionate about, the arts. Sort of had to, you get pushed here and there, and then you just eventually find your path that you are meant to be on. I think as a newbie in London, it was definitely not easy. And regarding my identity as that, I think I don't know, I think responsibility really just is something that was maybe put too soon, just because you come from Pakistan, a lot of luxury, and then real life hits you where you have to do the dishes yourself. And unfortunately, I didn't have all those skills in me as a child, where I had the knowledge to be responsible, a young adult. But yeah.
And what kind of a friend circle do you have mostly here? Is it like
Now,
yeah,
very versatile.
but you connected more with the Pakistani, or like is it more international?
Oh, no, it's not just Pakistanis. I think versatility is really important growing up abroad. And I just feel like if you have your own kind of people with you all the time, that is too comfortable. And I've never been the kind of person that likes being too comfortable, hence why the field I'm in, perhaps. It's exciting. There's, there's knowledge, there's that interest in getting to know different cultures as well, be that food or languages or people. So I think my friend circle is really versatile. I have a lot of Greek friends, Italians as well, Pakistanis as well, and I'm still very much in touch with my friends back in Lahore, a few of them at least. So yeah, I do like keeping that part of Pakistan with me, and knowing where I'm from, but living in London and sort of keeping a balance of who I am, I think is a Pakistani British. So, having both of those on my plate equally is quite important for me.
And what do you think of this, the whole, especially in Ramadan and in Pakistan, we have seen the whole food vlogging and like food videos. I don't know how is it in UK, like
Yeah.
on socials, but in Pakistan, like all the influencers are like only producing food content.
Really?
Because that's like a new thing because you can be a bit more trendy easily through food videos
Okay,
somehow.
just because it's Ramadan and people
It's Ramadan, like also like one or two of my friends, like Hamza, he's a really big influencer in Islamabad. There is another guy in Karachi, Irfan Janejo. So they did like these Ramadan series like a couple of years back, and it went really well. And now
Really?
everyone is like, okay, this is the best way to go viral because it's easy to make. It's not really easy, but it's not like
I
really.
think over here I haven't seen that, at least around my socials. But vlogging and reels and all that stuff is big in general, just in the food category. But I haven't really noticed that around Ramadan. I don't make those myself either, so maybe that's not on my feed either.
You don't consume like whatever. And what kind of like still the inspiration when you get, like how do you develop your own techniques? Like one is obviously in the kitchen, but like if there is a new person who want to go into this whole industry and try to learn a lot more, like what are the other sort of tools?
What
like
are
one
the
is the
other tools
like one is
to-
the obviously a professional way to go about it, but is there a other way, like obviously to experiment, yes, but
of someone who wants to be in a professional kitchen? I think we're very open towards allowing newcomers in a kitchen, especially in London, just because you need that extra hand no matter in what little part of the kitchen it might be. You might just hire someone who knows absolutely nothing just to pick herbs. Especially if it's a very, very fast kitchen, such as, I worked for Gordon Ramsay and we had so many people where they would just, give anyone that little job and pay them the very basic, but they will do things like picking herbs. They would, do the very basic jobs for us. But at that same time, you teach them as well, do your basic choppings as well. So in London it's very focused on teaching in a professional kitchen, whereas in Pakistan I feel like that's not there at all, and that is something that saddens me and scares me if I want to build something in Pakistan tomorrow, which is that's always been on my plate, that I want to do something in Pakistan.
You want to start your own restaurant or
I
something?
would love to. And I did do a little, what do you say? So my aunt has a restaurant in Islamabad, and
what's the name of the restaurant?
It's called Culinary.
Yeah.
So she has that, and she called me in as someone who can basically help develop menus and sort of articulate on the menus and train the chefs as well. So,
and how was that experience?
there's no, I mean, the thing is, our people are really, really hardworking. Don't get me wrong on that. However, there's no consistency. There's no discipline in the kitchen. There's no real professionalism in the kitchen, just because there are no chefs in the kitchen. It's just cooks in the kitchen. And it's your people that just...
And for a normal person, how do you differentiate like a chef versus a
So
cook?
a cook is someone who doesn't hold those qualities of professionalism, consistency, determination, being able to control how a kitchen runs, the pressure a kitchen is supposed to sort of, and keeping that quality. And then, of course, a chef also holds all those, skills that a chef might have that you might learn at a culinary school. However, a cook is someone who has just, I would say, I was maybe a cook a couple of years ago where when I started, I was a cook. I liked cooking, so you're a cook. A chef is someone who's got those trainings, who knows how to run a kitchen. A whole brigade is something they're able to just control and handle and be able to give a task and follow through and keep that, So that's a chef. In Pakistan, you mainly have a bunch of cooks who are just there to get that monthly income. It's not passion driven, at least from what I have seen. There are very, very few places that have those passion driven cooks. And I think Karachi is still doing better. I know a few people, for example, like there's Asad Munga in Karachi. His work on Instagram he's very experimental, and I think that's the difference between a chef and a cook as well. You are able to take your local ingredients and take that into your stride and work with what you have and make something incredible out of it. East End is a place in Karachi, and they do fine dining Pakistani food. That's something that I would want to eventually do, because Pakistan doesn't have a Michelin star. Well, there's one. This thing is in Hong Kong. The one is called New Punjab Club.
Okay.
And they're the only one that hold one Michelin. And it's a Pakistani restaurant. So I think our food is so rich and it holds so much potential. But it's the fact that we don't experiment, because it comes close to Indian food as well. And there's so many Indian restaurants that hold Michelin stars. And in our country, we all end up abroad learning and then either not doing anything with our craft or just sort of doing something on a small scale and not bringing it back home.
And what is the one thing which we don't know much about the food and we are taking it like wrong way? As an example, what you said, it's like the ghee as an example.
Yeah.
Like, because there are a lot of theories about like whoever you meet, there is like if you were sitting with the gym instructor, there is another science. Like if you're going with the Ayurvedic, let's say someone, there is another science. So like how to understand food for a normal person?
Well, I think you have to go back to the basics, to the very basic of a product. How do you introduce a very simple ingredient to someone? You maybe break it down into many different forms, and not just making, in Pakistan, like chicken kadai, for example. You can create that in so many different ways. You can dissect it. You can, dehydrate some components. You can play around with it and make it really into a fine dining experience, however, still have those exact flavors. And I think that is sort of I would love to work with our local people, but the thing is, I wouldn't want to train a bunch of people and make chefs and then they go and work with someone else. And I would want my people to stay with me, because I will put so much effort into those people. And that's something that sort of scares me. Like, I don't want to waste my time training a lot of people, and will they be able to learn the way I teach? Also, me being a woman, I feel like in Pakistan that's also something, here as well, but I don't know. It's just, there's so many different things you have to consider. If I want to open maybe a restaurant one day in Pakistan where I do bring Pakistani cuisine at its very finest, will people want to eat that? Will they want to sort of have a chicken kadai done in a very different way? However, be it still.
And what do you
chicken
mean, like
kadai.
Different way? Like, how will you do different?
Like I said, I can, break down components. I can really introduce a single ingredient such as ghee, like you said, and do so much with that, whereas it's just a very basic dish to our country. So it's just the art, and with that obviously your personality has to show. And me being a Pakistani and having those skill sets of the Western cuisines, I can bring those together. And I think that's also the difference between a Michelin star chef and an ordinary chef. A Michelin star chef will have that personality in their dish. It won't just be another braised lamb on a dish. It will have their personality showing through on a dish. So yeah, you can take anything and you can break it down. You can introduce that ingredient as a star of the dish, and someone who has no knowledge of an asparagus will suddenly be like, okay, that's like the crispier side of it. You can dehydrate it, you can blanch it, just keep it clean. You can do so much with one small thing, and you can introduce that one ingredient in so many different ways that someone will go home and try to do it themselves.
And how do you differentiate the Pakistani restaurants and the Indian restaurants here? Like the whole
The food element.
in terms of the food.
I feel like it is very similar. However, they perhaps have their spices on a higher
You mean the
level
Indian?
than ours. Yeah, they use a lot more spices. They use mace, methi, curry leaves in anything they cook. Even like I was working with one chef, he was even using that in his omelets, and I was like, okay, not for me. But nothing wrong with it. Sure, why not? But in our food, it's more on that masala, that basic masala sort of rotates around every dish that we cook. Onion, tomatoes, garlic, ginger, and then our basic spices, coriander, cumin. So a lot of that it's very clean, it's basic, and then it's higher on the fatty levels. We cook everything in ghee. We're meat eaters. Pakistan is full of meat eaters, whereas in India it's more, if you see, it's vegetarians and all that. So there's more play in lentils and vegetables and spices, just to carry that element of taste. They use a lot more spices than we do.
And what is the one thing if you want to change about Pakistani food, what would that be?
I want to change about Pakistani food. Nothing.
Okay.
I think our food is great.
And what's your favorite dish?
I think probably barbecue, like anything barbecued, as long as it's done really well. And you can have barbecue here, and it doesn't have that same flavor as how you might get it in Pakistan. So I wouldn't want to change Pakistani flavor, if you say, at all. I would want to carry that even in the food that I would want to make. And that's yeah, I think it's incredible, and people here try to mimic that, and they're not able to, So I don't think Pakistani food needs to change. However, what needs to change, or I would want to see in Pakistan change, would be how we do Western food. We don't understand Western cuisine at all.
Yeah.
And when I go to Pakistan, I just don't eat out. I don't eat any Western cuisine in Pakistan, because I know I'll spend money and I'll be really disappointed, just because I know how to do it. I know exactly, like I ordered a Caesar salad, and
Yeah,
it was
we have a burst.
it wasn't even a Caesar dressing.
Yeah.
It was just mayo with honey, and I was like, where's my Caesar dressing? So I just stick to desi food, because that's what I enjoy, and that's what Pakistan does best. So I think we sort of need to understand what we do best and sort of go with that. Those that are trying to do Western food in Pakistan, I mean, you have to balance, if you are catering Western food for Pakistanis, for example, sushi. Even if you go to Sumo in Lahore, what's it called? Like, it's dynamite prawns, and I don't know. Over here, if you sell that in Chinatown or something, they'll be like, what is this? In Pakistan, I get it. You have to cater to the people, what they like, that they want that spicy element. They want their sushi. It's not sushi if you're going to cook the fish that's in the sushi. It's not sushi if you're going to not use the correct rice or cook it, overcook it. So it's not sushi, it's just desi sushi rolls or something.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't do it just because I'm so used to, and maybe my brain is used to having that in a certain other way,
Mm,
you know? So maybe it doesn't cater to me
makes sense.
just because I know how sushi is. I've studied it, I've done it, I know how to do it. I understand if you're catering to the Pakistani crowd. However, I think it's also important to introduce the real thing
Mm. Instead
to
of
the
like
people.
mixing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because those same people will come here and they will have it
true.
how it's supposed to be had. Or don't order it, order
Mm.
something else. So I think, you know, it's the
Mm.
Western food that I wouldn't want to touch.
And lastly, what's your own sort of now future plans? Like, do you want to still work in the industry here
Hmm.
for next few years and then start your own business, or like, what's the ultimate sort of?
I think I've spent my 20s working on my craft, and I would like to move forward towards my 30s with my own work, and I am looking at Pakistan. I have been looking towards Pakistan for a couple of years now. Like I said, when I did go to Pakistan to work for my family friend, it was just to get an idea of how things work in Pakistan, how the people are, how that industry is. I don't really have contacts in terms of how would I market the business, how would I run the business, will it be profitable for me? So these are things that I am trying to study. What kind of cuisine shall I go into? Because there's so many different things I can do, whether it's bringing Pakistani in a fine dining form and really just pushing on the best fine dining Pakistan can possibly have in the whole country. I would love for that to be a thing, but will that work in our desi cuisine?
Mm.
Or shall I bring something that I already have learned here, such as Mexican and Japanese cuisine are something that work very well together in a fusion? And not a lot of people know how much Japanese influence is in the Mexican cuisine, and how we, for example, cure fish. You know, there's a technique which is it's called koji. Koji is a fermented rice, and we make a paste, and we put that on the fish, and that's the form of getting rid of bacteria, and it cooks the fish. So it's not like you eating raw fish.
Mm.
That's the whole thing of what Pakistan also doesn't understand, is you're not eating raw fish. It is cured, it's been through that process, the killed bacteria, it's edible, and it tastes incredible as well. So I
Mm.
think it's also bringing that knowledge and having people aware of what you are feeding them rather than just another fancy plate. They
Mm.
need to understand the art and how that is being made. So that is something that I am sort of working towards,
Okay.
So
Awesome.
I would like to do that. I'm working towards that. It's just, it gets hard when you don't live in the country and you want to run a business in the country, not knowing how
Mm.
to run a business in the country. So I think I need to first find my people,
Mm.
have people that can direct me, that can sort of guide me, because I'm a chef.
Yeah.
I know how to be in the kitchen. That's really where I thrive, and anything in front I don't know how to do. So I need to find people for that.
Or you need to learn entrepreneurial
So
skills.
if I start learning that, yeah, exactly, I'll probably be hitting 40 by the time I'm
Mm.
done learning. I've lived there, I know the business. Yeah, I mean, yes,
Yeah, it's a long way. I mean, yeah.
exactly.
But Ramin, thank you so much for taking the time out,
No
and good
problem.
luck
Thank you
with
for
your
having me.
ventures in Pakistan. We're very much looking forward to
Yeah.
having you. I think there is a huge space. I still feel like all the new restaurants जो open भी हो रहे हैं, it's again like a very mix of desi with Western, which doesn't make sense a lot of times. Maybe Pakistani is like a lot, but as you said, like when you're traveling outside, you want to have authentic
Exactly.
food. But over there, I don't know, हमें क्या होता है कि वहाँ we need like,
I think we get scared.
Mm.
We get scared that we won't have too many people coming in, and people want to target that as many people as possible because that's where you're making your money. but it's you have to do it without fear.
Yeah.
It has to come
And then
from
eventually build a brand
exactly.
around that.
And you can either be the only one doing that, or you can go and do another thing that everyone else is doing.
True.
So it really is.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you so much again.
No problem
your
at all.
time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.